So now that we've learned how to do operations with our functions, we're going to practice evaluating with these operations. Now you'll notice I have two methods for approaching this for no matter the operation, okay? No matter what operation you have, there are always two different methods that you can take. Okay, we're going to start with problem number 1. We're going to evaluate b times c of 2. So method number 1, we're going to first start by finding b times c of x. Okay, so this is step 1. We're going to find b times c of x first. Well, I need to know what my b of x is, and I need to know what my c of x is. So let's come to our list here. b of x is 5x squared. Okay, now let's find my c of x function. My c of x function is a negative x. So I'm going to take those two functions, I'm going to multiply them together, which when I do this, I end up with a negative 5x cubed. Okay, if I multiply those values together, I end up with the negative 5x cubed. Now that I have my new function, I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to plug it in. So now I'm going to find b times c of 2. This is my input. I'm going to plug it into my brand new function that I got right here. So I end up with negative 5 times 2 cubed. Okay, well, let's follow order of operations. 2 to the third power, so 2 times 2 times 2. That gives me 8. So negative 5 times 8, that gives me a negative 40. So b times c of 2 equals a negative 40. This is method number 1. Method number 2 tends to be a little bit more popular. So I'm going to take the 2 and I'm going to plug it into each of my two functions separately, then I'm going to multiply them. So first, I'm going to find b of 2 and c of 2. Okay, so once again, my b of x function is 5x squared, so I'm going to do 5 times 2 squared. Which when I do that, 2 times 2 is 4, so 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, c of 2, if I come over here, here's my c of x function, so I do negative x. So I end up with a negative 2. Okay, so that was step 1. Plug the 2 into each of the functions separately. Now, I do b of 2 times c of 2, which is the same thing as just doing 20 times a negative 2, which gives me a negative 40. Now, I'm putting a lot of extra writing down, but that's more for teaching purposes. You don't have to write this much out. But do you see the difference between method 1 versus method 2? Method 1, we get the general function, then plug in the value. Method 2, we plug the value into both functions, then multiply together. Both work, as you can see. It doesn't matter which option you decide to use. Let's do a second example for practice. So we're going to come over here. We've got a compose b of negative 2. I'm going to follow kind of the same pattern. Method 1. I'm going to find a compose b of x. So I got to know what my a of x function is. I got to know what my b of x function is. A of x is 2x minus 3. B of x is 5x squared. So I'm going to rewrite this really fast. This is the same thing as A of B of x. This is going to help me just keep track of things. So my B of x function was 5x squared. I'm going to take that entire function and plug it into the other one. So I now have 2 times 5x squared minus 3. Let's multiply this so that we can get a simplified function. So 2 times 5 is 10. Nothing happens to the x squared. So 10x squared minus 3 is my given function. Now that I have my function, I can take the negative 2 and plug it in. So A compose B of negative 2. Taking the negative 2 and plugging it into my brand new function here, I get 10 times the negative 2 squared minus 3. Order of operations. Negative 2 squared is the same thing as negative 2 times negative 2. That's 4. So 10 times 4 minus 3. Well, 10 times 4 is 40. 40 minus 3 is 37. Not bad. Let's try method 2. This one's going to look a little interesting, okay? So, method 2. I'm going to start by finding B of negative 2. So my B of x function, once again, it's 5x squared, so I'm taking the negative 2 and plugging it in. So I have 5 times negative 2 squared. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. Now remember, I can rewrite it as A of B of x, so I'm going to take the 20 that I just found and I'm going to plug it into my A of x function. So A of 20 equals, well, I'm taking 20 and plugging it in, so I've got 2 times 20 minus 3. 2 times 20 is 40. 40 minus 3 is 37. So as you can see, it doesn't matter which approach I take, I still end up with the same result. It's a little bit less intuitive on method 2 for composition, but remember, you can always rewrite this as A of B of x. Okay, remember, those are synonymous. They mean exactly the same thing. There's our overview for 8.3. Let us know if you have any questions.